Hello teachers, and welcome to the 23-24 school year. This refresher video is going to cover content that was previously discussed in regards to the Teacher Portal and Power Teacher Pro. Now let's get started. Your Power School is up and running and ready to go. So with that, here is the URL that you will need to use for accessing the Teacher Portal. Just a reminder that right here after the / teachers with the plural is what's required. If you don't have that S at the end, you will not be able to log into the Teacher Portal. You will want to bookmark this URL to your web browser for easy access. Once you've clicked on the URL, you are going to be prompted to click on Sign in here with your external credentials. Doing so will open the pop-up window for you to select your Pottstown Google account to log in. That's it. You don't need to know any username, passwords, or anything outside of what you have already set up for your Google account. This refresher is going to touch on what's needed to get you up and running come the first day of school. We're going to talk about taking attendance in the Teacher Portal. And once you launch your Gradebook, what's it going to look like in Power Teacher Pro for setting up class names and descriptions, your Gradebook, categories, creating assignments, and grading assignments. Let's get started with the Teacher Portal. Once you've logged into the Teacher Portal, you're going to see current classes listed for you. Within that dashboard, Expression is going to highlight the period and then the cycle day in parentheses that course is taking place. There are 3 ways that you can take attendance. The straightforward way is through the blue icon of a student at a desk. That is for daily attendance. Multi-day attendance most likely won't be used. That could be in instances where a student is on vacation, is going to be out for several days. However, it is highly likely that the office will know about that in advance and will already have entered that attendance. The other option is seating chart, which is based off of what you've created, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. So please note that you will only have access to specific attendance codes. And those usually are the codes that flag students for being absent or tardy. All the other codes for field trip and etc., or what's been made available to teachers outside of tardies and absences, you will see those. If you don't, then that means that those codes are only available at the admin level. Teachers cannot override attendance entered by admin. However, the admin can override attendance entered by teachers. This is given a teacher may mark a student absent from class. However, the note comes to the office that the student may have had a doctor's appointment or was out sick. So now admin will now have to update the attendance based on that criteria or other situations that may arise. So when you take attendance, as soon as it's submitted, student attendance information is made available to school administrators, parents, guardians, and students. By clicking that daily blue chair icon to take your attendance, it's going to open up this screen. There's your single day, but you will also be able to toggle to multi-day and seating chart and the seating chart design should you choose so. By default, the current date will be listed in the drop-down. and you can select your attendance code from this drop down or specifically student by student. The students listed in this class will appear here to the left in alphabetical order. Also, alerts that apply to these students will be visible to you, that you could hover over, click to see more information about those specific alerts. The comment icon is grayed out. However, if you click on it and enter a comment, it'll turn blue, indicating that there's something there. Now again, once you've completed all your attendance data entry and comments, you must hit the submit button in order for the attendance to fully process and then become available. How do you know if you took your attendance? Well, it's pretty straightforward. There is an attendance status indicator where your classes are listed on your dashboard. If the attendance has not been taken, it will be empty. A green indicator, just like this check mark, that lets you know that you did complete your attendance for that period. As you can see, the other periods have not yet been completed. In a rare instance that a class spans 2 periods, which requires attendance to be taken for one of those periods or both, it would be a yellow indicator. But again, that is a rare instance, and you may not even come across that. So taking attendance is as easy as 4 simple steps. You click on the icon, you choose an attendance code, you mark students absent or tardy, click submit. It's that easy. Now, attendance is very important to be taken if you're teaching multiple different periods in the secondary level, because it helps to track student mobility. Also, with School Messenger, attendance needs to be taken so that way at the specific time, the system knows to do the auto call, and it's going to be based on the fact that attendance was taken. So that is why it's important to take those attendance at the secondary level for each of those periods, because if a student is not marked present for the day and you didn't take your attendance, they're going to get a phone call. Also, in the event of an emergency, it's important to know where students are at all time so that they can be tracked. And then for elementary students, attendance taken in homeroom will count for the full day. So I had to mention the other way to take attendance is through the seating chart. This is something that you can create and arrange based on where you have the students seated. You can get a little creative in that you could add a desk to show where you're at, the door, and whatnot. You can put the students in rows, you can put them in groups, however it is that you have them placed. It will list their name, and as we import the students' pictures, that is what will be seen on each of these squares with the student's name. This is good when you're first starting to get used to your students and identifying names with faces. It's also good to have set up in the event that you have a sub, and the sub can refer to the seating chart to better know who's who and where the student should be for that period of the class. Now we're going to get started with the Power Teacher Pro Gradebook. Launching your Gradebook, you can do so from your dashboard in the in the Teacher Portal by clicking on Power Teacher Pro. So that'll open you up into the Gradebook, and then you can switch between the classes. Or you can select to open that specific class. So when your Gradebook opens up, that's the first class that you see. Either way, you're going to have access to your classes, whether you do it by a list or by a specific class. The icons at the top right-hand corner are what are going to be part of what you need for creating assignments. There's the plus sign. For reports and notifications, the help function in your user menu. Now, the help function will open up resources for you to be able to click around to take a look at how to take attendance or how to create an assignment and different things like that. So as you can see here, by clicking on that help icon, the resources that are available to you will be seen here. You can click on the blue hyperlinks that'll open up specific direct topics, or you can hit the lines here to get a table of contents of information that you're trying to look for. Also, there is the PowerSchool community. You can click that to access information in the community, and you might find that others have presented questions about issues or things that they're trying to figure out. So that will require you to set up an account. But again, there's more information at your fingertips. If you find that you need help, you can start with the help icon first before reaching out to the data team. So, teacher level gradebook settings. You will be able to customize class names and descriptions. Now, these are where you could put in your syllabus information. What you have here will be made available for students and parents to see, so they have a little bit more of insight about the class. So the details and the information that you put there, like I said, is going to be visible. Also, if you want, as you see up here, we have the expression, the period, and the cycle day within the name. Well, you can customize the name and just put third grade English if you want, or Mrs. Smith English class or whatnot. And to get there, from the left navigation pane, you click on Settings and then go to Class Descriptions. These breadcrumbs down here will help you to navigate your way through the system. Now, grading preferences gives you the ability to configure your teacher level grading preferences based on what's been made available to you as teachers. So you can configure and copy traditional grade calculations for each section that you teach, and you may have access to edit weights and drop score preferences. You may also be able to configure standards grades calculations for each section as well. You can assign alternate school grade scales to individuals that are in your class if needed, and teachers may edit class grade scales if permitted. So from Power Teacher Pro, clicking on Settings, you will see traditional grade calculations. This is where you're going to configure settings for your traditional grade calculations. Again, that is done by hitting the pencil icon to open up the window. That's going to allow you to say whether or not you're going to choose term weighting, total points. And the thing is here, what's typical is if you have a semester-long course, you will see that Q1 and Q2 would be total points. And then semester 1 would be the term weighting, which would take that total from Q1 and Q2 together. And then it would be the same kind of methodology for quarter 3, quarter 4, when calculating the term weighting for semester 2. I want you to know by default, you'll see Q1, but we did set up your PowerSchool to reflect M1, M2, M3, M4 for marking periods. Then the term weighting would take, let's say, the calculations from semester 1 and semester 2 to get you that final overall grade. So again, you would have to set these up by clicking the pencil icon, and then PowerSchool will do the calculations in the background. For standard grade calculations, it is similar in that you get there from the Gradebook, clicking on Settings, and then going to Standards Grade Calculations. Now, again, you can configure this for each class or multiple classes based on your permissions. And again, it would be the default calculation and then changing that from most recent scores to medium. The number of scores, you would hit the pencil icon to edit that if it's going to be, based out of how many scores. And then the auto-calculate, that'll auto-calculate what the total standard grade would be. You can always revert to the default settings, whether it's for traditional or standard. If you change the default grade calculation formula set by the school or district and you want to revert it back to those school and district settings. You'll see in this example, it's showing you where you would click revert to default. To get started copying from class to class, you can, take those final grade calculation settings across reporting terms within a class or from one class to another. Getting there from settings, you click traditional grade calculations. You're going to click the gear icon, which is like a little star washer, and then click on copy traditional grade calculations. That'll let you take what you've set up for one class at a specific term and copy it to another. The idea is that it will save you some time and extra clicks in your setups. Now, working with categories and assignments. You can create assignments by clicking on the gear icon or the create icon, which is the plus sign at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Use categories to group assignments by type, use categories created at the district level, or create your own. So when you're creating new categories, this little screen will pop up and you can say what color it is that you want that category to reflect, whether it's active or inactive, what it's going to be used for. You can give a description, what class it's going to apply to. If you go on to the left navigation pane and click grading and then categories, you're going to view and edit categories that are going to be listed there. So after creating categories, this is where you will go to see them. You can sort the order in which they appear by using the downward buttons or upward buttons here. You'll see all the color codes here, what classes are using them, and if you need to edit them, there's the edit button. Anything that has the building little icon next to it, those were created at the district level. You won't see them if those were categories that were created by you. Now, the best practice is to use one score type method for all categories. Assign one of the 4 different score types. So once you've created a category, you can select point, percentage, grade scale, or collected only. And this is where you'll see the score type that you can choose from the drop-down menu, whether you're going to publish that immediately or not, but the score type, how many points, and if it's weighted or extra points are involved, that's where you will add that to the category. Now again, the 4 different score types. So you can pick different ones, but it's good to stick to one for a specific category and be consistent that way you're consistent when scoring assignments. So the points records all scores as points. And as you can see the examples here, it'll give you a 25 out of 25, an 8 out of 10, and so on and so forth. The percentage is record all scores as percentage values, 100%, 80%, 50%. The grade scale records all scores as values from the grade scale. So that's getting into the letter grades, an A, a B, an F, or if you're using numbers, a 4, a 3, a 1. Collected only, that's an example. It'll just be a green check mark. That's how you're scoring, just by saying it's been collected. That can be utilized for things like permission slips or other things that you're just collecting, but not specifically giving a points, percent, or grade scale. As you create assignments, you can do so for some or all of your students in groups or classes. So you enter general assignment information and select classes or group. And this is done by hitting that plus sign, the create icon in the top right-hand corner, and you'll see assignment. And you could also align standards with an assignment and define when assignments are to be published. Published meaning made available and visible in the public portal, aka parent portal, for parents and students to see. So as you create an assignment, you can see here you'll be able to select the category that applies to it. You could also give a description about it, the due date, and then if you click on students, by default it'll apply to all the students in that class, or you can hit the selection button to remove students or whatnot if this is an assignment, let's say for only a select few. This is where you're also going to click standards to tie this assignment to a standard. And then the publish tab is where you would say that this is becoming available immediately, or you can choose to make it visible in the parent portal at a later date and time. You could also duplicate assignments. So if you go to grading, you'll see your assignment list. Click on the edit icon, and once you do that, you can click on duplicate. Duplicating new or existing assignments is what you'll be able to do across multiple classes, and you can use different due dates for different classes. So again, the functionality is that the idea is to save you time. So if you teach 4 variations of the same math, you have 4 different sections, you could set up your assignments in one and then copy them over to the other 3. So again, copy one, some, or all of the existing assignments in a selected term or other terms. So for instance, you can go from semester 1 to semester 2, marking period 1 to marking period 3, and you just hit copy assignments, and that'll get them copied over. And you get there by your assignments list or the score sheet. At that point, there will be a gear icon that you would click on, which is the little star washer, and then copy assignments once you've set up your parameters here. The next thing is scoring assignments. So when you enter scores, there are different options that you can follow. Direct entry, the score inspector, flags, which are score indicators, special codes, hotkeys, which would be like shortcuts for typing in scores, comments, and then you can fill those scores and flags and comments across the board for students. So when you use the score inspector, it's going to pop up a separate window when you click into a cell for entering a grade or scoring an assignment. And you use the score inspector for entering and editing scores. Filling scores, as you can see, the filling can go vertical or horizontal. Also for comments, there will be a comment bank as well that's available to you. You can use flags, which is missing, whether it's collected, late, incomplete, or if maybe the student is exempt. You could also flag it that the student was absent that day, so that's an indicator maybe why, if you need to remember, at a glance, how come the student hasn't, turned in this assignment. And you can use special codes if that's something that is set up to be used. So using direct entry is a method to score manually, which is done from the assignment or score sheet page. You enter a student's assignment score by clicking in the cell where the student's name intersects with the assignment name, and you type in the score. So in the summary, click Edit Assignment to edit the assignment details, which is right here. If you hit Show Me More or Show More, you can view additional information such as associated grade and special codes. It gives you a little information right there at a glance while you're grading if you needed to check some things out there. Flags and other icons. Again, as I mentioned in the score inspector, we have the green check for collected assignments. We have late for obviously late assignments, but if something's missing, you could use that icon with the exclamation point. The slash here indicates that assignment is exempt. Again, that's at your choice. Maybe the student had a situation where you're going to exempt them, so that will not be counted into their calculations when grades are tallied up. Absent, which is an indication as to why it wasn't completed. Incomplete, and then you have the icon that turns from gray to blue if once the comment has been added. When you get into standards, there's these three icons here. We call this the judgment indicator here that indicates evidence exists for mastery that may differ from a student's calculated standard score. And that professional judgment indicator highlights such students that fall into that criteria. And then you as the teacher would use your professional judgment to say, yes, that should be this score, or what you're seeing should stay as is. These little icons here with the arrow to the left and to the right, well, those indicates the standard grade is auto-calculated from the lower level standard scores when it's going, when you see it facing to the left, and then to the right, that indicates that the assignment score is used to auto-calculate scores for the standards aligned to the assignment. So those are just some things to keep in mind if you're using standards grades. Hotkeys, they're shortcuts. When you want to enter a score quickly, you can just hit the hotkeys, right? CO or period marks an assignment collected. If you do LA, that's late, and so forth here. Filling scores, when you look at the vertical, which is up and down here, it fills student scores for one assignment. So up and down is going for one assignment. When you're filling it horizontally, that is going across assignment scores for one student. So you're filling the assignment scores for one student. And as you can see, when you're on a score sheet like this, you can see the different colors that represent these flags for like late, comments, and collected, exempt, and so forth. So entering comments. You're probably going to enter a comment for an assignment, or specifically at the end of the marking period, there's comments that get entered for the class. So enter comments manually or use the comment bank. And you can click up here to open up the comments. And there is smart text feature to personalize comments from one or more students, where you can type in the first name is doing great. And then if you use the smart text feature and you wanted to use that same comment across all students, it would then, based off of the smart text feature, put everybody's first name individually for each student. So, and then finish the rest of the sentence for is doing great. Enter a student's name, then fill the comment to all, empty cells to trigger that smart text feature. So entering comments, if you want to add a comment, click the comment icon in the score inspector, as I showed you in the previous slide. And then you can either enter a comment in the text box or click Show Comment Bank and click the gear icon. You choose either the district comments or your own comment bank. So, you might have comments that you created for yourself to use outside of what comes with the district's universal comments. And then here, again, once comments have been entered, you can click those comments to edit them once they're turned blue here, or you can delete them if needed. Like I mentioned, you can make your own comments. So if you go to Settings on the left navigation pane and then click on the comment bank, that is where you could add personal comments to the comment bank or select your favorite comments. So the ones that you select will they'll come up and be the ones that you're going to be able to use more readily instead of searching through the comment banks, or you click on your My Comments tab to access your comments that you want to utilize. So talking about the scoring methods, right? You can score a single assignment on the assignment page or use the score sheet to score multiple assignments. So that's how that works. Again, the assignment list, you can click on that specific assignment and grade it across students. The score sheet will show you all the assignments and you can go across and score that way as well. So as you can see here, if you enter a grade lower than the minimum, this is if you have, if you're using minimum assignment values, once saved, the grade will be updated automatically to the minimum grade. So again, if a student got a 10 in this example here, but you set your minimum grade to be a 12.5 on an assignment, well, that student will get a 12.5 automatically once it's saved, as opposed to getting the 10. So those are some options you can look into as far as as you go about grading your assignments. And it will give you a little alert here that says data saved, any assignment scores below the minimum value set by your district have been changed. So that's if we're going to use minimum assignment values. That's when that comes into play. Previewing grades. So, if you want to view how a grade change will impact a student's final grade before saving the new grade, you can left navigation pane, go to grading, click score sheet, enter score, and then preview grades. And then when you preview the grade, you can see what it's going to look like, right? And then you can then cancel the preview or save it if that's what you're doing. But that's how you do the preview grades. And then you can also copy and paste scores. So if you fix a score entry mistakes or transfer scores by copying and pasting scores or grades from one assignment to another, or from one class to another class with the same students. So you can do that. You go to grading, left navigation pane, click on the score sheet, and then you want to click on the assignment column header, which are these up here. When you click on those, you can copy, go to assignment, copy and paste. So important thing to note is transferring scores, because you will see this once you get started, as students may, be in your classroom for a set period of time and then they move on to another classroom. So when a student transfers into your classroom, moves between two sections of a class you teach, right? After the term has started, transfer the assignment scores from the student's dropped class to new class. So this student's going to move from one section that you teach to another section that you teach. So that I'm emphasizing the move between two sections of classes that you teach as the teacher. So from the students, you select the new student, then you would go to the quick menu. So this is the quick menu up on top, and then transfer scores. And then you can see how from here, from one class to the other, the scores would transfer based on the terms from here as well. So you can see how the class on the left is period 6, the class on the right is period 2. Now, you're going to find that you're going to have dropped students, so transfer assignment scores. To transfer assignment scores from a student's dropped class, you're going to click Students. Select the student, so you'll see a list of names. Select the student who transferred into your class. Students who enrolled in the class after the term start date are labeled with new student and then the date. So new student adds of and the date under their names. The label will be present for only 2 weeks. Now 2 weeks from the student's class enrollment date. So you have a 2-week window to get those, transfer those assignment scores. So you open the quick menu and select transfer scores if you're viewing the student's assignments page. You click on the gear icon and choose transfer scores. And to use the filter options to limit the number of assignments that appear on the page, you can click on the gear icon and select Show Filter. So you open from Class menu and select the drop class. Open to Class menu to select the class you want to copy the scores to. So scores from any term can be copied even if the previous term is locked, okay? Because that will happen is terms will be locked when it's the end of the marking period, and once we've passed that marking period, and grades are stored. So scores can be copied to any term except to a locked term. Now, transferring scores across terms, you're going to copy, as you can see here, here's a student from which term to the other term. So copy from any term, even if the previous term is locked, and then copy to any term except to a locked term. So you can take it from a locked term, but you cannot copy it to a locked term, if that makes sense. And by getting there, you select the student, and it's the new student, quick menu, transfer scores. So that wraps up this piece of us getting started for the school year and a bit of a refresher. I know it's a lot, but once you get in there and you start working through your setups, everything will start coming together. Again, utilize the help function. Empower yourself, look for answers, collaborate with each other before you reach out to the data team. Now, another resource we're going to cover is the PD Plus Customer Education Campus. Here's the URL for that. Many of you should have a PD Plus Customer Education Campus account. If you do not, please reach out to me. There's my email address. Or Nicole Beditz, who is overseeing the data and state reporting, specifically Power School System there for Pottstown. So let's get started with PD Plus. All right, so once you've logged into PD Plus, the Customer Education Campus, this is what your dashboard is going to look like. Your username is your email address, just so you know, and the password is whatever you have created from before. If you're having troubles accessing or getting into PD Plus, please reach out to myself or to Nicole Bettis. We're going to click on the content library from our dashboard, and in topics we're going to type Teacher. And as you see here, here's all the different options that come up. So if I click on Power Teacher Pro Gradebook, I now have the specific topics here that apply to much of what I covered in the refresher, but this will give you more in depth if you want to see some of this stuff visually. Specifically, set up assignments and grading. There's a 60+ minute PD Plus course here. That's going to go over all of that, which will be what you need to get started for the school year. There is a part 2 that drills down more into the analysis and reporting that's available. But there are also some quick PD Plus videos that cover some of the topics that was listed in the slide deck. So, you know, adding custom class names and descriptions, copying assignments, copying traditional grade calculations, creating and duplicating assignments, creating categories, personal comments. If you're interested in learning more about creating student groups, there's a quick PD Plus video on that. Also, filling comments and some other information here that you can see, scoring assignments. And all of this is done in alphabetical order, Power Teacher Pro Gradebook, and then the topics are in alphabetical order running down. So if I come back up to the top here and I do Teacher, I'm going to add to my topics by selecting Teachers PD Plus SIS. So now I've just went ahead and put some more information in there for me to look at. This is more geared towards the portal side of things. So, you know, seating charts, there's a whole 60-minute plus course on seating charts. So I'm going to clear out my topics here, and instead I'm going to type in teacher in the search bar up top. And I'm seeing a lot more than what you'll see on your end, but there is another course or option that you would want to take a look at. So PowerSchool SIS Teacher Portal. This is the one that'll cover specifically what goes on within the Teacher Portal before you launch the Gradebook. So this is going to cover your taking attendance, student information screens, the quick lookup, then getting into the Gradebook, how you launch that, and some reports and things like that. Again, I just want to highlight here, the quick lookup will allow you to be able to see your students across all their classes and how they're doing so that you can do some analysis. But that is the other session you would want to check out, is PowerSchool Teacher Portal. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to me, or specifically reach out to the data team at Pottstown, and we will do what we can to get questions answered. But best of luck with the start of the new school year. Welcome back again, and I hope you guys have a great year. Thank you.